New at 4, Sandy Springs has terminated an officer after he allegedly used the city's cameras and surveillance system for his own personal gain. Channel 2's Michael Dowden has been digging into the report, and it shows the former officer may have committed corporate espionage.
Yeah, this investigation centers around flock cameras. They give officers a real-time look at what's going on while also being license plate readers. But the investigation found that this officer may have been using this technology to benefit himself and his other job. Flock cameras, always watching, tracking, a tool built on trust.
It's an invaluable tool for law enforcement to actually solve cases, homicide cases, sexual assault cases.
But a recent investigation shows the trust may have been betrayed. It alleges that over the course of months, Sandy Springs Police Reserve Sergeant Francis Esposito used his Sandy Springs flock login to run license plates, gather data, all for another job.
The data is the gold mine for literally any startup, any company that is trying to grow.
The investigation concluded that Esposito may have violated multiple Georgia laws, including corporate espionage.
I think that this officer probably understood the rules and understood what he was doing was wrong.
Now, in an email, Mr. Esposito's other employer, Signal 8, said in part, quote, "At no point did Mr. Esposito share, transmit, or transfer data from Flock Safety or the City of Sandy Springs to Signal 8 systems." However, the whistleblower who started this investigation was a former Signal 8 executive who told investigators that the data from Flock was used for beta testing and validation of the product.
It's clearly a violation of policy and perhaps state law.
And the concern is that what else the technology could be used for and who is watching the watchers.
Without the guardrails, the whole system is going to fall apart.
Now, after this termination, Sandy Springs then sent this case to post, which then will look at potential disciplinary action against Mr. Esposito. We're in Sandy Springs. Michael Dowden, Channel 2 Action News.
Welcome back, FightFlock.com. In today's video, we're going to cover a case out of Sandy Springs, Georgia. Another officer fired for misusing the Flock database network. Again, this was a reserve sergeant. His name was Francis Esposito. He was looks like he was hired in 2016 and fired in August of 2025. So he was there almost 10 years. That's a pretty good term there as far as employment. But at the time he was fired, it was August 20th, 2025. He was a reserve sergeant at the time. So basically he was technically like a part-time employee, but what's odd is the reserve sergeant part. I looked that up. I was confused on that, and so I checked into that. And reserve sergeant, basically reserve meaning, according to Sandy Springs now, you're unpaid and you got to work 10 hours a month, but you are sworn in. So you are sworn in like a regular officer, and you have the same access to the computer programs and all the databases as a regular full-time officer, which I thought was very strange there. Why would they have all that access, being just basically a unpaid employee working 10 hours a week, right? Which seems very, very silly to me. But nonetheless, this is what was going on here. And then this guy, again, he was terminated because he was misusing the Flock database network, like you saw in the video there. And this basically is, again, another whistleblower come to our rescue, right? This is all these cases boil down to someone snitching on someone and letting us know what was going on. Otherwise, it would never see the light of day. So in this case, the whistleblower come from basically a company called Signal 8, okay? So this company was a startup company making some software and whatnot for police departments. So this guy here, Esposito, Francis Esposito, he's right there getting sworn in, looks like, for Sandy Springs. He was, this guy was working part-time for this company, Signal 8, okay? So he was working part-time there, and apparently these executives in this Signal 8 company, they had a falling out, right? So one guy quits or whatever, and I don't have that guy's name, but he snitches out Esposito, right? So he snitches out Frank, old Frankie boy here. And he says that, yeah, these guys were using the Flock database out of Sandy Springs to do algorithm testing, right? So they're making software, whatever they're making to, and in order to test it, they're using the Flock database out of Sandy Springs. So all these guys basically got caught red-handed. And the Signal 8 company is based out of Canton, Georgia. A little bit of information on that company here, not much available on it. But basically they're making this Smart Squad software. So they're trying to sell it obviously to police departments, law enforcement agencies around the country. And they're supposed to develop, basically make it easy to write e-tickets, do police reports, integrate the flock database, also shift pass down reports, things like that, right? So basically, it's they're trying to tailor this to law enforcement and sell it, right? And make money, right? That's the idea. They're all going to make money. So, but they got busted out because the executives had a feud and one quit, and then basically he blew the whistle on Esposito, right? Which is obviously we're lucky that happened, right? And again, these cops, we've talked about this before, they have this flock stuff right on their cell phones, right at their fingertips, right? They just can dial this stuff up, look up license plate numbers, track people everywhere. We're supposed to trust these folks to do the right thing, okay? And this is one of many cases we've covered here on this channel, and there's many more we haven't covered that we probably need to go back and look at. But this is the constant abuse and misuse of the flock database system. We have, as citizens, it's bad enough we're being tracked illegally by these flock systems, and Motorola systems also, they make a similar system. And it's bad enough we're being tracked as citizens, and now we have these folks misusing this stuff, either for their own personal gain or, to track a lot of times ex-lovers, ex-husbands, ex-wives, what have you, boyfriends, girlfriends, okay? So now we have to basically, we just have to say, okay, we're supposed to trust everybody with this information that they can easily access at their fingertips right now, again, on their cell phone. And in the Sandy Springs case, this is crazy because this guy wasn't even a full-time officer. Again, part-time, not even getting paid, but obviously he was doing that because he knew he needed access to the flock system, so he was using it to obviously help out his part-time job, which was probably his full-time job, more than likely, or soon to be full-time job. So my question is, how does Sandy Springs, a police force of a pretty good sized city, that city is not that small, it's a pretty good sized city, suburb of Atlanta, again, just north of Atlanta. How does that city let this happen? How do they have a system where some reserve officer, not even getting paid, can access the flock database? That doesn't make any sense. Bad enough the sworn officers are misusing the database. Now we got basically part-time officers not even getting paid are allowed the same access. That is beyond me. How that happens, I have no idea. And hopefully they've changed that rule since this happened. So this was, this guy, Francis Esposito, got fired August 20th, 2025. He was basically terminated, according to Sandy Springs, okay? Some say he was resigned, but they probably, he tried to resign probably before he got terminated, but they're listing him as terminated. This basically is, probably not the end of this guy. He's probably gonna, start his own company or try to do some more, basically work with this other Signal 8 company, perhaps. I'm sure they're trying to develop more software and whatnot. I'm sure they're going to find other ways to get the information they need to test their algorithms and their software and whatnot. So this is again, this is a one of many cases we've covered here. Again, and it's basically very frustrating because we're supposed to trust these folks, right? And I'm just not liking that. I hope you don't like it either. Hopefully, there'll be some stronger rules in place going forward for the city of Sandy Springs. But unfortunately, it's just too easy to access. Like I say, it's on their cell phones and whatnot. It's just too easy, just too simple to do. And here as citizens, we're supposed to just, we're supposed to put up with this. And I hope you're upset as I am. And again, appreciate all my subscribers. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And I thank you for watching, and appreciate all my followers and supporters. And again, appreciate that the support is much appreciated. And again, we have a long uphill battle to go, but hopefully together we can fight this flock stuff. It's nonsense, right? And hopefully we can, and one day we can go to the Supreme Court and we can defeat it once and for all. But thank you for watching.